right. Hi everyone. This week we watched the movie The Village by M. Night, directed and written by M. Night Shyamalan. So this is a movie about a small secluded village that seems to be kind of haunted by these creatures in the woods that they've sort of barricaded themselves in. But we find out as the story unfolds that this is not necessarily true, and that their whole reality in this kind of world they live in is false, in a sense, and it's pretty interesting. So, what are everyone's initial opinions? Oh, okay, wait, I just want to say one more thing. Obviously, we do spoilers on this spoilers on every one of these videos. But this one, it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie, and he's notorious for his spoilers. So if you want or not spoilers, for his twists. So if you want a movie with a really good big twist and you don't want it spoiled, then maybe this isn't the video.
Hi, Queen. See you later.
So, the movie is set in this kind of remote, small village in the middle of the woods, and it is. It looks like I don't know enough about history, but I'd say early 19th century, right? Yes. Like early 1800s. The outfits, the buildings, stone buildings, you get it. But as we see throughout, and this village has a defined parameter, and there is thought to be these big sort of creatures living in the woods outside of this perimeter that, that forces the people in this village to stay within this village. But as the movie goes on, we find out that those aren't really monsters in the village. These are elders that dress up in these elaborate, huge costumes and try to convince everyone within this community to stay in this community and never leave. But the lead character, Ivy, she has to leave so she can get some vital medicine to save someone's life. And what we find out is not only are these monsters false, this is actually taking place in the present day. She wanders through the woods to find a road with cars and with radios and walkie-talkies and things like that. So the whole movie, you believe it's a period piece, and then all of a sudden you're thrown into modern day technology. It's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Very good job describing.
Thank you. I appreciate
that. Was very well done.
Thank you.
It was very Handmaid's Tale like. That's what it reminded me of, or at least the Hulu show.
So I accidentally, not even accidentally, I found a YouTube video about this movie before I knew it existed, and I watched it and I was like, oh my God, this is super, super interesting. And then the big twist was spoiled for me. And so going into this movie, I was really, really hopeful about it. I was like, okay, maybe I'll still be able to get some, I don't know, some spooks, some scares out of it. Like it'll, I'll be along. Exactly. A couple spooks.
A few scares.
But yeah, and the video pretty much covered everything that happened in this movie, and so I was left a little bit disappointed. But I think if I hadn't seen that video and the big twist at the end had not been revealed to me, it probably would have been a much more enjoyable and engaging watching experience. So it was pretty good. How about that? Yeah.
My first thought on it was it's a mix. I briefly mentioned this before we even started the video. My first thought on this was Pride and Prejudice and the Sasquatch tapes had a kid and threw in just a little bit of the Maze Runner. And I don't know, it just gave off those vibes. I was I'm going to be honest, I was kind of half paying attention to the movie as I watched it. I'm sorry.
Do you take this channel seriously? We have 12 subscribers.
They deserve better than this, Nicole.
Deserve the best.
Yeah.
I had kind of a hard time watching this movie because I kept getting distracted by Joaquin Phoenix. I had just watched the movie Her about 3 weeks ago, and that's all I can think about.
No. I kept thinking of the Joker.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, hey girl, what are you doing here?
Speaking of about this movie,
like the Joker. Also our Professor Hugh hates that movie, so I apologize that I referenced it. I don't like it either. For the fact I had to watch it for a class, but since I'd seen it, it made me think of that.
So all I was gonna say is if we're doing, I was thinking of another movie mashup that this kind of reminded me of. I thought it was like a mix of The Truman Show and The Witch, that A24 movie, which is very, very good.
A24.
I think we're on other places on the screen. That's all right. Anyways.
I think we are. I don't. That's fine. My thoughts in this movie. We'll talk about it in our Tech Corner segment, so I don't want to bring that up now, but I technically very well. I thought it was a kind of a strange plot, but very well executed. That's how I would describe it. I liked it. I just think that the concept was not the concept, but like the plot was a little iffy, but very like well executed, as I said before. What did it remind me of? It reminded me of, this is going to sound weird, but it reminded me of the short story The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. At first, because I was like, oh, small town with really creepy energy, and you know something's going to go wrong, but you don't know what it is, and everybody's way too happy. Made me think of The Lottery.
Overall, I was like, I went into it with like pretty low expectations, unlike Flora. But I actually kind of liked it. I thought the plot was weird, but I actually kind of liked it. It was like interesting. Like, I don't know. It was not at all what I expected, which was nice. And I also thought it was technically well done. And that moment when she just like hopped the fence and you see the giant wall along the nature reserve, I just thought like Truman Show. Like it just reminded me so much of that movie. I love that movie.
That movie's so good. It's so good.
Yes, yeah. I know.
I've never seen it, but it is on
Top
my
tier.
list.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I know. Me and Nicole are the outliers here.
Shame.
For a screen major, I don't watch a lot of movies, so I'm trying.
I don't either. I was thinking about that. Yeah.
I do.
Good for you, Ava.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nicole said bye.
It's gonna keep happening because my chair, for whatever reason, doesn't want to cooperate.
Nicole said, I have simply had enough. I am leaving.
I am going to stand for the rest of the video.
All right.
Alrighty.
All right, so next we're going to talk about tropes. This movie, I think, like, it definitely combined a lot of different elements from other stories, but it did so in kind of a, I think, unique way. But it stuck tried and true to some tropes. I think one of the most prominent tropes in this movie is the blind girl with like a second sight, if that makes sense, because she can't see anything, but she can see people's auras and like intentions almost. Like she can read people in ways that people with sight can't, and it's stuff like that, like, which is, I don't know enough about, the blind community to know if it's like a harmful or positive trope or not, but it is something that is seen pretty regularly. It always rubs me a little weird, like it rubs me the wrong way, but who knows? It might just be one of those things that people have no opinion on.
I thought maybe it was a little strange to have a non-blind person playing a blind person. I just think in general that's something that you should avoid.
Yeah, I mean, this movie came out in 2004, and I don't think that could slide today. I mean, it might be able to.
No, it does. It does.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just that they didn't even like have her sell it well either, because for half of the movie I wasn't aware that she was blind.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah. I thought she did a pretty good job, but I mean, I don't know.
Once I knew, I thought it was like okay, but
yeah,
I don't know. It just threw me off because sometimes her eyes were focusing on things and I couldn't tell. Maybe that was me being silly.
I thought she was colorblind.
Okay.
At first, but I was like, okay, if she's colorblind, then why did she have cane? And also for anyone who's missed, or if the previous part of me drifting off to the side has gotten edited out, you know what? I am gonna sit on the floor. I cannot sit in my chair currently.
Sit down, queen. You can do it. We believe in you.
There's like the trope of the powerful elite, and like kind of like a whole conspiracy, and they're controlling like the vast population. There's like those few that aren't on the secret.
Right.
Like, conspiracy.
Trope.
Maybe we should.
Sorry.
Maybe.
Oh, sorry. Do you want to go, Ava?
I did.
Okay. Sorry. All right. All I was going to say is maybe we should explain this spoiler because we keep kind of talking around it. So
I was just going to say, there's a lot of tropes in like creepy small towns where they live like this, where there's elders and they're like a council. That happens a lot. So some tropes that I thought of were like the council of elders and just living in like a very secluded place and not being allowed to leave.
yeah, so I guess more tropes would be monsters in the woods, right? Like this weird secluded little town, and then like scary creatures that are coming for you.
This is Tech Corner, where we discuss technical aspects of films that we either like, don't like, or just find interesting. We just discuss them. And so to start off, I'd say that one of the things that I really liked the best, or I thought was the most well done, was the scenic design. And what's it called, Nicole, with like the color?
Color
Color
theory?
palette? Oh.
Yeah, just the color palette for the whole film with all the
yeah.
greens and the scenery. Scenic design, landscape.
Cinematography. Is
Beautiful.
that what you're looking for?
Yes.
Yeah.
All of that.
I don't know how to read.
That actually, speaking about color, this kind of, I don't know, I pulled this memory out from somewhere, but do you remember in the beginning of the semester, we watched that clip from Sixth Sense where the mom walks out of the kitchen only to walk back in and to see all the cabinets open. We talked about color in that and how everything in the cabinets was red and the whole kitchen was highlighted by little bits of like gold and yellow. That comes back again in this movie, in this M. Night Shyamalan movie, right? The monsters are dressed in red cloaks and it's the bad color. And the humans, monsters, but the humans, the good color is this sort of burnt yellow,
It's the safe
mustardy color. It's the safe color.
Yes.
Right. I wonder what his relationship to those colors are, because that's kind of interesting. Yeah.
The
He's a Gryffindor.
McDonald's colors.
Exactly. Maybe he's just a really big McDonald's fan. He loves McDonald's.
Eva and I had two totally different ideas.
I said he's a Gryffindor. Nicole said McDonald's.
Why not both?
I mean, fair.
There's always that option. Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. The color palette and the cinematography was amazing in this movie. I was confused at first because I thought it was like all sorts of red, and not just like a bright red. I was gonna say, wouldn't Ivy have been like past 10 by now?
Yeah.
Like if Flora were to walk into this village wearing that sweatshirt, like, certainly everyone would be dead. But if I were to walk in with this, I'd like have to dye my hair. No, but I did like the color, and that was the one thing that I always try and look for in movies. And I try not to go into color symbolism because color symbolism isn't always what it looks like, and sometimes it can be annoying. But there were clearly two sides to this village. Those they do not speak of, and then the actual villagers.
Yeah. I like the sound design too, like not just the soundtrack, but like there's a lot of ambient noise, and that was like, I noticed it was very prominent in some scenes, and I think it helped add the suspense, and I thought it was interesting. Right.
Like the first time we're in the woods, we hear like these kind of eerie, they sound like wind chimes. I wonder, because there's this line later in the movie when Ivy is questioning her father, who's like the head elder, about all the screams they hear from the woods. Like where those come from, and her father admits that like they made them up. So I wonder if those wind chimes are like diegetic or non-diegetic. Like are those wind chimes actually in the woods, and it's just part of this way to keep the villagers in the village, or whether it's part of the movie soundtrack.
Quasi-diegetic.
There you go.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's also skinned animals being left around the village as like a warning sign from these creatures. So every time we saw one of these, we got like a close-up on one of these, we heard this like immense amount of buzzing, and it really sounds like a swarm of flies. Like it's very realistic, but I'm pretty sure it's just violin, and it's very, very, very cool.
I love the score in particular because I don't know why, but one of my favorite things is when music or scores is like normal, but then it gets really distorted. I love it. And they did it really well, where like the score would transform into the flies buzzing. It wouldn't just be like all of a sudden, it like transforms. Oh, love it. Very well done. Applause. I'm a sound nerd. Nicole can vouch for that. I love sound.
I'm sorry, this is completely unrelated. I had another thought. Do you guys remember when she's talking to her, when her father is explaining these creatures to Ivy, she asks him about all of these skinned animals, and he tells her, oh, I think it's one of the other elders. But he's like, I haven't found out who yet. I wonder if he didn't give the answer like, oh, it's yada, yada, yada. Like they didn't reveal, like M. Night Shyamalan didn't reveal who this was. So when we find that the last monster in the woods who turns out to be Noah, another character, we wonder if this one's the real one, because we know that someone has been skinning those animals, but we don't know who. Like that was not revealed to us. So I think, that's probably why they didn't come up with a name, why M. Night Shyamalan didn't give the person skinning the animals a name. So she would be, so Ivy would still see this thing and be really terrified of it because, what if it isn't another council member that's doing these terrible things to these animals? Anyways.
Yeah, the same thought. So that was interesting.
But I wanted to mention camera, because as Ava is a sound nerd, I am a camera and cinematography nerd.
I love sound. That is true. We balance each other out very well.
Yep. I found the camera movements to be really subtle, but they worked out. There was a lot of handheld, and I think the subtlety of the handheld really made the movie that much more interesting, because imagine if they did all these fancy like wipes and fade ins and outs and transitions. It just that's more on the editing side of things, but it would just look so tacky. So very minimally edited handheld shots, especially during the wedding scene, when Ivy's dancing and you hear the boys in the back, and that's where the sound editing comes into play. All of it was almost psychedelic. It was like trippy. I found it really trippy and really interesting.
I haven't seen this movie, but obviously I've seen the trailer and I've seen like bits and pieces of when people talk about it. The scenery reminded me of Midsummer with all the flowers and the greenery, and so that made me think that something was going to go wrong, and I kind of like that. I don't know. I was like, I like that in my brain. What's the word? Connected it with that.
You were in your mind palace, just moving all these things around.
I don't think I have watched all 4 seasons of
don't, believe me. I've subjected myself to that too. Don't worry. The
fact that I cried at like every single episode.
Yep. Middle school was a terrible, terrible time.
This was over the first part of the pandemic.
Never mind. Sorry. Whoops.
Hey, Queen.
It's cool though that we can like sit here and reference all of these other movies. You know, like everyone has, you know, different films that this one reminds them of. And I'm, you know, this is just kind of an out in the open question that no one can answer. I wonder if any of them, you know, like Midsummer, like they've taken inspiration from The Village, because The Village was made in 2004, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so
They
that
very well
was
could.
17 years ago.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I mean, there's probably a good chance, but I don't think this movie was too well like critically received. Like I think because I heard this tangentially, so this could be completely made up, but I heard that it was marketed as more of a horror or thriller movie, and then like it is that, but it's also not at the same
It's a
time.
drama.
Exactly, it's like a drama romance, and so
It's like a suspense thriller mixed with drama, but it's not horror at all.
yeah, so I think that I think it disappointed a lot of audiences because it
Yeah.
wasn't what it was marketed as. So I'm not sure. Like I'm not sure if it's like famous enough or iconic enough to or well loved enough to have elicited a movie like Midsummer, which is just so brutal, to take influence from it. But I mean, it could have. I don't know. Yeah.
No, I get that. I think it probably would have been more well received and popular if it was marketed as what it is.
Yeah.
Because from what you're saying, the only reason people didn't like it was because they were expecting it to be something else. But if they were expecting it to be like a suspense thriller / like mostly a drama, then they probably would have been more satisfied. Because I thought it was like a pretty good movie overall. If you expect what it's going to be. If you're not like, oh, I'm going to watch a horror movie and watch that, you might be a little disappointed if that's what you wanted, but you get the point.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to talk about things that annoyed us. You want to know what annoyed me? The slow-mo. The slow-mo annoyed me. It just felt very out of place and kind of thrown in there at the last minute. Also, I had to go rogue and hold my microphone. So sorry.
She's too quirky.
Yeah. I didn't like it. It just felt like a last minute added thing, and I don't know if it had any hidden meaning or symbolism behind it. It just didn't work for me, and it felt really, really tacky.
Right. Like that slow-mo, like it was only used twice in like the last 20 minutes of the movie. Maybe like I don't like slow-mo in general, but maybe if it had been used throughout the movie or if it had been used more times in the movie, it wouldn't have been so noticeable. But like these two times they really stuck out and it was it was annoying. I agree.
At first, I thought the video was glitching. I was like, what's that? And also, side note, I like that we actively recognize and avoid the phrase throughout the movie.
Yeah.
This is what Clark Screen Studies has done to us.
Yeah.
Fair.
Hello, Humanin. This is your influence on us.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you're enjoying the videos so far.
What annoyed you guys? A lot annoyed me about this movie, but I will only spare one.
The fact that they sent a blind girl who knows nothing about any advanced technology into the 21st century by herself. Well, like not originally by herself, but they knew that those other two escorts left and no one went to go help her. No one else went after her. They're just like, oh, she'll make it. A blind girl alone in the woods with a stick is gonna make it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't put that fault on her. I put that fault on the people who sent her because she could have been seriously hurt, and I'm surprised that she wasn't. Because as you saw, she literally fell into a hole and almost died. And they were like, oh, she'll be fine. Like, that was just ignorant by them to not...
I would also push part of the blame onto the two escorts. Finton.
They were the worst.
Finton and Kristoff. First of all, what kind of names are those?
Crystal.
He came straight from Frozen. He rode
Exactly.
on his reindeer
Yep.
to the village.
10 years and rewind. Yeah, because they just left. They were too scared, but this girl was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get the medicine for my love."
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix, I guess. But
But you know
that,
what?
yeah, that really bothered me.
That kind of annoys me too. Well, I know that I don't know. I just think of him as the Joker, and I know she's blind, but it's just funny that she's like, Joaquin Phoenix is the best. He is the prime match. He's the prime husband material.
It's funny because if we had watched this before the Joker, like at all, I mean, I've never seen the Joker, but I've heard everything about it.
Fun
Yeah.
fact, my dad's friend is in it, and I didn't know until I watched it.
That's cool.
I literally paused it and went, Gary? Here.
Yeah, not too much annoyed me until you guys started talking about it, and I found a lot of things that annoyed me.
Yeah. I
But the
agree.
biggest thing that I noticed myself was that one scene right before she climbs the fence. She's like running on that road. There's two branches like on the road, and I saw her running, not really using her cane. I was like, she's gonna fall in those, and she hopped right over them as if she could see. I was like,
I
Yeah,
noticed the same thing. Yeah, it annoyed me.
I remember that part too. It's the problem of having like a seeing actress play a blind person.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
doesn't really add up.
Also, what kind of annoyed me was when she got to the gravel road that she would take to get to the main, paved road. It was going in two different directions. Like I
did
don't
you know
think
which
her
direction
father
to go?
exactly. I don't think her father told her which way to turn.
No,
Like
that
she
bothered
could
me
have
too.
easily gone the wrong way and got
Like-
super lost.
Like I was expecting her to go the other way, and I was
Yeah.
like, if I was there, I would have gone the other way.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't even know which way to go.
so who would have gone to Clark from this movie? Real talk.
Oh, I don't
Jesse
know.
Eisenberg.
Yeah,
I don't
Jesse
know.
Eisenberg, who was in
Jameson.
here for like 2 seconds. He didn't he had like one line and then that was it, which is weird for Jesse Eisenberg.
He was very, very nicely dressed. But a lot of the women were very cottage core, in their appearance. Maybe Kitty would have gone to Clark.
I was thinking it's Kitty Walker. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I liked her wedding dress.
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
nice one.
A little flower crown.
I thought that like Ivy's dad would have gone to Clark.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps.
You
I
see
can
that?
see that.
Should we do the $5 rating? How
Oh,
much
yes.
you'd spend on this?
$4.50.
Valid. Yeah.
I liked it. I had some problems with it, but I really liked it.
I'd go like $3.50. I would set it at the $3.74 bin because you know how there's a $5 movement and a $3.74. I would put it in the $3.74.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
I was
You
gonna
can
say
go,
I'll probably go 4. Like I'm thinking like it was good. I didn't have too many issues until we started talking about it, and I found a lot of things I didn't like. So that kind of I was gonna say like 4.75, 4.50, but I think a solid 4 now is where I'm at.
Yeah. If I hadn't known exactly what was gonna happen the whole time, I would have probably put it I probably would have paid $4.50 for it. But since I did, I'll say $3. But I still quite enjoyed it. Yeah.
Valid.
Fair.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you for watching today. Leave a like, subscribe, and please comment what you thought. We haven't gotten any comments yet, and we
Don't
want to
say
hear your
that to
thoughts.
them.
Yeah, you don't need it.
Don't
We
make
don't
us
wanna
sound
comment.
desperate and like
We are.
if I saw that in the channel, I'd like log off.
All right. Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm like, damn.
Subscribe
this is
to us
stupid.
right now. We are so unpopular.
We are so popular. Everybody's raving about us.
Yeah. Everybody being human and